It's a beautiful day for baseball. And live from Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, Sportsnet LA presents the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies in the rubber game of this three-game series. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Sutter, Oral Hershiser, Alana Rizzo will join us in just a moment. This was a road trip heading out of Los Angeles of great expectations. After all, the Dodgers were in Arizona, New York, and Philadelphia. All three of those teams with losing records at home. Today, if the Dodgers can win, at least they will go home with a 5-4 record. Talk about great expectations. Unmatched in great expectations now, the injury to Hanley Ramirez. Sidelined yet again, sore left calf. He may be available to pinch hit today. Arborena once again back at shortstop. And now for the Dodgers, they want to go home, obviously, with a winning record on this road trip. And it's going to be up to Josh Beckett.
Yeah, Josh Beckett has responded to a lot of things this year already. Lack of run support, not getting victories. But now he has to respond to his own difficulties. He has a lot of different ways to get people out. The old style of pitching up, of the new style of using his curveball. And what happened to him in his last outing, he was pitching very, very well. Had to empty the tank in the fifth inning to get David Wright out on a 4-3 ground ball. But then the next inning, he wasn't in a jam. He didn't have to go to his curveball, but they jumped on him right away with fastballs and on his changeup. And then a fastball again. It was home run double, home run walk, and he was out of the game. He's got to respond to that difficulty just like the Dodgers.
Once upon a time, a decade ago, the starting pitcher for the Phillies, A.J. Burnett, and Josh Beckett were teammates in Florida. We'll be back with the lineups and first pitch. Dodgers and Phillies on this Sunday afternoon of Memorial Day weekend from Philadelphia. 3-game series. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia, 81 degrees. As the Dodgers and Phillies get ready. Closed captioning today is brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. They're fun since '61. Some Q-tip clouds overhead. Other than that, it's just a perfect Sunday afternoon of this Memorial Day weekend. And here is the lineup that Don Mattingly has put together. Dodgers 4-4 on the trip. Would like to go home with a winning record. With Dee Gordon and Carl Crawford and Yasiel Puig the top third. Puig a 5-game hitting streak at the moment. Gonzalez 0 for 12 in his last 4 games. Ethier, Turner, and Buterres the catcher. And again, once again with Hanley Ramirez out with the bad calf. Arizbel Arborena batting 8th at shortstop. Josh Beckett pitching and batting 9th. And this afternoon's Honda starting pitcher for the Phillies, 37-year-old veteran A.J. Burnett.
Pitching with a non-related sports hernia, so that has really calmed his mechanics down. Having a solid year so far with the 3-3 and a 3.32 ERA. A.J. will rely heavily on the two-seam fastball and the curveball, and has really become more of a pitcher as he has aged than a thrower. So he has become tougher and tougher, really, to hit.
One of 5 active pitchers with at least 150 career victories. The others are Tim Hudson, C.C. Sabathia, Mark Burley, Bartolo Colon, and A.J. Burnett in search of his 4th win of the year. In his career against the Dodgers, 4-4 at a 3 2/3 ERA. And he has allowed 3 earned runs or less in 9 of those 11 starts. And away we go on this Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. Dee Gordon steps in, and here comes the first pitch of the ball game. 1 ball and no strikes to Dee Gordon. At .294, more importantly, his on-base percentage is .338. The more he gets on base, the more he has the opportunity to steal, and he has stolen more bases than anybody by far. 28 out of 31 tries. 2 balls and no strikes to Gordon. And again, an issue for the Dodgers and their offense. Hanley Ramirez sidelined again with the calf. He might be able to pinch hit. He's going to be receiving rehab throughout the game down in the clubhouse training room. Looped into short right field and aboard with a base hit. Dee Gordon. Well, though, on Friday night, Gordon stole 3 bases and 2 in the very first inning. Gordon with 28 stolen bases, or as many as the entire Phillies team. Veteran Will Nieves is behind the plate today. See how soon it is before he will be tested by Gordon and his speed. Carl Crawford coming up, and Crawford continues to be red hot. Didn't take long, did it? Here goes Gordon. Here comes a throw. No chance. So Dee Gordon now 29 out of 32.
A little different for Dee Gordon with Carl Crawford in the 2-hole. Left-handed batter blocks Nieves' view, and he had a great jump there at first base, and there was no chance. A.J. Burnett's got kind of a larger leg swing as he goes to home, takes some time, and Nieves got out of there good and threw well, but Gordon beat it easily.
Well, it doesn't take long for the Dodgers to get a runner in scoring position. As a team, the Dodgers .251 hitting in the clutch this year. Crawford fouls it off to the left and out of play. So Gordon in the series 4 for 4 against the Phillies.
We have seen Carl Crawford try to bunt, try to pull the ball to get runners over from second base. Right there on the last pitch, just trying to get the head out a little bit, hit it to the right side.
Crawford saying the other day, this is as healthy as he has been since the end of the 2010 season, and his numbers of late are reflecting that. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Crawford, since the 3rd of May, is hitting .386, 4 home runs, 10 runs batted in, and a double. And since the 3rd of May, he's raised his average from 185 to 268, playing practically every day now. On 1 and 2, Crawford, fly ball, center field. Gordon is tagging, and he is going. And the throw's not going to be nearly in time. So Gordon at third base with one out. Defensively behind A.J. Burnett today. Cesar Hernandez and Jimmy Rollins on the left side of the infield. Chase Utley and Ryan Howard on the right. Dominic Brown's been battling some back issues. He's back in left. Ben Revere had 4 hits yesterday. Marlon Byrd in right. Will Nieves is giving Chooch Carlos Ruiz the day off. And now here's Mr. Puig. A 5-game hitting streak, the second leading hitter in the major league, second only to Troy Tulowitzki at 347. Fourth in the league with 59 hits, second in the league with 38 RBIs. And there's more stuff. Strike one, nothing in one. He's got 19 multi-hit games, hitting .407 with runners in scoring position, .365 on the road, 106 total bases. He is in the top 5 in every one of those categories, with Gordon leading from third. So Yasiel Puig certainly making a statement about perhaps being player of the month of May. What's he hitting this month? .422. He's already been this past week's co-player of the week in the National League. 1-2.
It's going to take all the discipline in the world, because A.J. Burnett has that sweeping breaking ball, and he's already given a steady dose of fastballs. So Yasiel's going to get something that probably looks like a strike and ends up a ball.
Caught by Utley.
Did a good job making contact. It was a slider low and away. It wasn't sweeping all the way off the plate. Yasiel had enough bat left to make contact, but that shattered the bat, and he had to one-hand it. He decided it was a strike, and then it turned out to be a ball, but he did a nice job keeping his balance and making contact. Just didn't get enough muscle on it to get it over the infield.
Adrian Gonzalez hasn't had a whole lot of success in his career against Burnett. 2 for 12. Gonzalez hasn't had a hit since New York. He is 0 for his last 12. One ball and no strikes to Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez with 34 runs batted in is 4th in the league. 3rd in the league with a dozen home runs. Just underway. Gordon's at 3rd with 2 out in the 1st. 2 balls and no strikes.
Sometimes these Sunday day games, both teams kind of feel their way into the game, and if you can break on top with the Dodgers with this 2 outs and a man in scoring position, it can just give a jolt of energy to everybody, and you really can kind of keep that momentum throughout the day.
2-1 to Adrian Gonzalez. And A.J. Burnett, at the ripe old age of 37, last winter it was thought that he was going to hang him up, figuring it would be his last year in Pittsburgh. Well, he comes to Philadelphia and has had a terrific year, and he's working with that hernia, and as you say, it slows him down. How does he go through that with obviously discomfort that at some point he's going to have surgically repaired?
It must be at a level that when he controls his effort level and his stride length, that he does not feel it as much, and I'm sure they've got him supported as well as they can. But he says it makes him, he has the ability to throw, but he just doesn't have the ability to super extend, and so he's probably got velocity in his body, his lever system, of somewhere to 94 to 96 miles an hour, but he's pitching at around 91 to 93.
16 years in the big leagues for A.J. Burnett. He's 56 and 37 in day games. On 3-2. Gonzalez into right center field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit. Gordon comes in to score with the ball bobbled in the outfield. Gonzalez arrives at second base. So the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. Adrian Gonzalez with his 35th run batted into the season.
Adrian does a good job of just getting the ball in play. Doesn't kill this ball. Hits it just hard enough and just in the right place. And for the Dodgers, breaking on top and getting another guy in scoring position because of the error by Marlon Byrd in right field. But the official score here has ruled that a double because of the positioning of the ball before the bobble.
And this, after all, is the city of brotherly love. So Gonzalez gets a 2-base hit. Either way, he's got an RBI, and the Dodgers have a 1-0 lead, and Andre Ethier takes a strike. It's 0-1. So once again, D. Gordon getting aboard, stealing second, going to third on an outfield fly, and comes in on the Gonzalez double to right. Ethier, a couple of home runs, starting in center field again. And before the game, Don Mattingly was telling the scrum that Matt Kemp is going to start taking some fly balls in left field.
Wants to take a little pressure off him as far as coming completely back. He was pronounced 100% healthy, but now the Dodgers are seeing some range of motion, maybe issues as far as his way he is breaking for the ball in the outfield and the way he is running for the ball. So they're trying to take a little pressure off him and not have him go really both ways in such a far distance. So trying him over in left field. He's going to get some reps in practice in left field in Dodger Stadium before they put him out there and get him comfortable.
Dodgers, of course, return home immediately after the game this afternoon. And at 5 o'clock tomorrow, back in action with the Cincinnati Reds in town. And you're going to see one of the game's great young pitchers, Johnny Cueto for Cincinnati. Ethier takes a call, strike 3, and that will end the inning. Gordon a single, a stolen base. Gonzalez a double and an RBI. The Dodgers lead 1-0, and Josh Beckett coming out to pitch. Has put together the Dodgers with an early 1-0 lead. Ben Revere coming off a big day yesterday, 4 for 4 and 3 runs scored. Jimmy Rollins 15 hits from becoming the Phillies all-time hit champion. Utley and Howard 3 and 4. Marlon Byrd in right. Dominic Brown has some back spasms working through it in left. Will Nieves giving Carlos Ruiz the afternoon off. Cesar Hernandez batting 8th. A.J. Burnett pitching and batting 9th. And the Dodgers Honda starting pitcher is 33-year-old Josh Beckett.
So much is talked about Josh Beckett adding his curveball. Closer look at that curveball. Hitters are only hitting 117 off of it. And last year, what did he throw as far as number? Well, 19% of his pitches were curveballs. This year, 30%.
Ben Revere at 289, no home runs, 6 runs batted in. Has 43 hits, 1 double, 2 triples, and I guess you could say he is a singles hitter. Has great speed when he gets on board. He has stolen 12 out of 14. Rollins and Utley to follow. Just a picture-perfect Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. And it's 3 balls and no strikes.
It's our biggest crowd of the 3-game series here in Philly with weather, and here on this Sunday people planned on being here.
Ben Revere has walked all of 3 times this season. There's a strike, 3-1 in 149 at-bats. He has struck out only 17 times. So he puts the ball in play and hitting 289 and a very fast runner. 3-2. Brian Knight is calling balls and strikes, 6-year veteran out of Helena, Montana. Well, Beckett got behind 3-0. The count is full. The wind is blowing not nearly as forcefully as it was the first 2 games. From left field toward right. Again, this is a home run hitter's park. Gonzalez has it. Lead pass to Beckett. 1 out.
It's one of those routine 3-1s that you have to execute flawlessly when you have a left-handed hitter that can really run. And Beckett broke on time, and Gonzalez with a great feed. Now his routine is normal.
Defensively behind Beckett this afternoon, Justin Turner once again at third base with Uribe on the disabled list. Arabarena's at short with Hanley Ramirez injured. D. Gordon at second base, Adrian Gonzalez at first. Crawford, Ethier, and Puig in the outfield. And a Sunday day of rest for A.J. Ellis. So Drew Gutierrez behind the plate. Jimmy Rollins stepping in at 274. Half a dozen home runs. 2 for 8 in the first 2 games, and look at that curveball. And again, this is something we've talked about in his past few starts for him. Beckett is now, as they say, pitching backwards. And quickly ahead, 0-2.
Using the curveball to get strikes and steal strikes, not using it just as a put-away pitch, and using it more when he's in jams. And right there with Jimmy going curveball then changeup. And that is pitching right into the defense, because the Dodgers are shifting a little bit with Jimmy Rollins. We're seeing this more and more. You know, original shifts in the big leagues, Ted Williams, Willie Stargell, big power hitters. Now they're shifting according to defensive charts, no matter what your power is.
2 balls and 2 strikes, and so Arabarena is maybe 3 steps to the third base side of second. And now he's moving directly behind second base. Outfield is, relatively speaking, straight away. Once again, Gonzalez, he'll take it by himself this time, 2 out.
Well, Charlie, we talked about the energy level if the Dodgers could get that 2-out RBI in the first inning. And I know it's professional athletes, especially ones that are making a lot of money, are supposed to be immune to emotions. But a Sunday day game, you can break out on top. It's a short night to get up and to get out here and to get it going. And it'll help when you get that run.
And a long flight ahead for the Dodgers after the game this afternoon, opening a 3-game series with the Reds tomorrow. I mentioned Johnny Cueto going for Cincinnati. Hyun-Jin Ryu will go for the Dodgers. 5 o'clock start on Memorial Day. Utley swings and misses, and it's 0-1. Chase leads all National League second basemen in batting average at .335. A .392 on base percentage, 20 doubles, 27 extra base hits. Mentioned yesterday, maybe the 2 best second basemen in the league are on display on this Sunday afternoon. Utley at the plate, and of course D. Gordon out at second base. Gordon has already got a hit and a run and a stolen base this afternoon. Dodgers 1-0, 2 out in the first. Ryan Howard on deck. 1-2. When Beckett first came up, as was the case with A.J. Burnett, Brad Penny in the early 2000s with those Marlins teams, those guys could all muscle it up. Fascinating how Beckett has changed his style as he has gone on in years.
But really, the curveball is the only pitch, except for maybe sometimes when he has the really good changeup, that goes down. He was an up pitcher with a curveball before and high velocity, and now that when he brings his fastball down, which he has to now, it's not a sinker, it's more of a tailer. So the ball that avoids the bat the best is the curveball right there. And he's able to change speeds with it too. He can throw it as hard as 75, 76 and down to 68. See the bite on it. And the great thing about Josh's curveball right now is that it's flat at the beginning and then breaks late, so it looks like his fastball.
Utley on 3-2. First base runner of the game for the Phillies. Now Ryan Howard. Howard hitless in 8 at-bats against the Dodgers this weekend. In his career against the Dodgers, just 191. However, he has 15 home runs. And has been the case throughout his career. He's been among the league leaders in having been struck out.
He's not looked comfortable at the plate during this series, but I'm sure he saw Sunday as a day maybe he could get healthy. Off of Josh Beckett, he's hitting .313 in 16 at bats with a home run.
D. Gordon in short right field. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Not an eephus, but a nice slow curveball. Great arm speed, and then the ball comes out and dewdrops in there on the corner.
1-1 to Howard. 1-0 Dodgers in the bottom of the first. 1-2.
The information that the hitter picks up on a pitch, the arm speed of the pitcher, the flight of the ball, the spin on the ball, and then the location of where it is. And when Josh Beckett throws that curveball with such good arm speed and very tight spin, it's really an illusion to the hitter as far as what he's picking up.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Ryan Howard with Marlon Byrd on deck. Justin Upton of the Braves has 58 strikeouts this year. His brother BJ has 57, and so does Ryan Howard. Hitting .228. The count is 2-2. And Beckett taking entirely too much time for Howard's liking. Chase Utley, in case you're wondering, has 1 stolen base. He's been caught once. And Buter has thrown out 1 of 8 would-be base stealers. On 2-2. Did he go around? No, says third base umpire Seth Buckminster. So Utley will get a head start with a full count and 2 out in the bottom of the first. 2 out walk to Utley, and now Howard has worked the count full. 3rd time. The count has gone full. So Beckett's pitch count is beefing up unnecessarily. There goes Utley. There's the pitch. Call strike 3, and that is that. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 man left. 1-0 Dodgers as we go to the second with Turner, Buter, and Arena coming up. Hanley Ramirez sitting it out. Arizbel Arborena's starting at shortstop. He'll bat in the number 3 spot here in the second inning. And Alana Rizzo has more.
Well, like you said, 3 straight days without Hanley Ramirez in the starting lineup. He is listed as a reserve today, but I doubt very seriously he will come into the game and pinch hit. Getting treatment on that lower calf issue that we first reported yesterday. Turns out, though, guys, it may be a lot worse than originally thought. Don Mattingly speaking earlier today, telling the media that it doesn't look good. And while he didn't want to speak for Stan Conti, the director of medical services, he does feel that Hanley Ramirez will undergo an MRI when we get back to L.A.
Justin Turner on the first pitch of the second inning has hit it out. A home run for Justin Turner. And the Dodgers take a 2-0 lead. Turner with a home run in New York a couple of days ago. His second home run of the season.
The more he plays, the more you like him, and the energy he brings to the ball club. His swing came alive in New York. He made Citi Field look like it was small going against his old club, and then he moves over here to Citizens Bank Park where the ball carries a little better and takes it to straightaway center field.
On Thursday night, he had a game-tying 2-run home run in the 7th. Mets would eventually win the game 5-3. Now Drew Butera spanks a base hit into right field. For the Dodgers off and running in the second. Gordon began the game with a single, stole a base, and came home to score on a double by Gonzalez. Turner here with a home run to lead off the second, and Butera coming up. Or Arboreena coming up.
Some Dodger fans saw the bottom of this lineup and thought maybe we're not going to get much offense off, but here comes Turner, Butera, and now Arboreena, who got his first major league hit yesterday.
1 for 6 for the young shortstop. Takes high and inside, 1 ball and no strike. Yesterday afternoon, Arboreena in the 5th inning. David Buchanan had a souvenir for the young shortstop. Dodgers already with 4 base hits. Arboreena squares and takes it back.
They're going to have to talk to him, I think, right here with the pitcher hitting behind him. He's thinking bunt. He's thinking baseball, but we're in the National League. You got a pitcher behind you. We don't want to bunt. He goes, okay, I got you. I wasn't bunting. I was just taking a look at him.
Lorenzo Bundy, fluent in English and Spanish.
And baseball.
Third base coach. So Arboreena has been told, you just don't need to bunt here. Butera not likely to go anywhere. He hasn't even tried a stolen base this year.
A lot of times one of the things that you set up in gamesmanship is you square around the bunt knowing that the manager might think about hit and run right here because they'll think we're bunting, we're going to throw a fastball down the middle, and now you get a good pitch to hit. You start the runner and you've got action.
To the right side into right field for a base hit. And so Arboreena with his second base hit. The Dodgers with 3 hits in a row here in the second. The leadoff home run by Turner. Butera's hit, and now Arboreena's hit.
Well, Beckett won't be needed told or even pick up a sign to know that he's bunting here. So I'm sure the Phillies will think about an aggressive defense. And Butera will have to get a good jump at second. And Beckett will have to lay down a very good bunt if the Phillies are pressing.
Beckett has 1 sacrifice this year. A.J. Burnett has thrown 5 pitches this inning, and the Dodgers have 3 hits. Gordon on deck, Crawford to follow. Already 2-0.
Best bunt is to the third baseman and firm, pulling him away from the bag at third. The only time that is not a good bunt is if they go with the wheel play and send Jimmy Rollins over to third to cover third with the bunt going there.
Jimmy's got a long way to run if that's the case. And it's a bunt. Left side. Burnett throws out his old mate. But Butera goes to third, and Arboreena goes to second with 1 out, and D. Gordon is coming up.
It was an excellent bunt by Josh Beckett. Didn't get it close to getting it foul, but got it to the left side of the diamond. Out there about 25 feet. Made the pitcher field the ball. He'd like a little bit more angle on this, but that is just enough, especially when they don't have the aggressive defense. If they were in the wheel play and that third baseman is coming, that bunt could be problems, but they were playing conventionally, and it worked.
Down 2-0 in the second. Ryne Sandberg wants to limit the damage, and so he's bringing the infield in. And D. Gordon has been quite a hitter in the clutch. 325. 1 ball, no strikes.
Even if D drives in 1 and gets Arabuena only to third, it'll be first and third, and D will be over there. It could be second and third 2 pitches later, with D being able to steal. So Ryne Sandberg playing aggressively here, but this really could turn into a big inning for the Dodgers.
And there is a world of real estate in the alley in right center. You saw a moment ago that the Dodgers have a 19-8 record when scoring first. The Phillies, when the opponents score first, are 7-16. So the Dodgers with a statistical leg up, not to mention the scoreboard. Crawford on deck and Puig to follow. 1 ball and 1 strike.
D has been very good at fighting balls off on the inside when people try and get in his kitchen. If they get in there with the fastball, he's been turning on them, and he's also been able to drop the head of the bat on the breaking ball down and in. And with the infield in here and his typical slash style of hitting, if they go fastball away, slashing at the left field is in something that he has done very well also.
And Jimmy Rollins is shaded a bit towards second base. So if Gordon tries to slash it to the left side, he's got some room to work with. Butera not a lot of speed at third base. Arabuena above average speed at second. And Gordon to the right side. Throw coming home, and Butera is out from here to Erasmus, New Jersey.
They came inside, and D didn't get the head completely out, got the ground ball. Ryan Howard did a nice job charging the ball a couple steps to get himself on the grass completely so he doesn't have to deal with the seam. Look where Ryan is, and then look where he comes in, a step and a half right there to get that last bounce. That momentum and step got him on the grass and then made the throw a little bit easier.
Arabuena goes to third on the play, so first and third, 2 out. Crawford coming up. Well, it's dangerous business when you've got a slow runner at third on a. They've been a contact play, but even so, Howard guns down Butera. There's 2 out. Crawford flied to center in his first at bat. There goes Gordon. Lined into right field. Bird coming on and makes the catch, and that ends the inning. So the Dodgers get a run on the home run by Turner. Leave 2. We go to the bottom of the second. Carl Crawford flies out, but it is Justin Turner's second home run of the year, and the Dodgers are up by 2. is moving to a permanent home on channel 319. Don't miss a minute of the action as we bring you all things Dodgers. For new TWC channel listings and more information, visit twc.com/mychannels. Justin Turner with his second home run of the trip has the Dodgers up 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the second. And Marlon Byrd takes up Bender. 1 ball and no strikes. Byrd at .292, 6 home runs and 29 runs batted in. Had a double yesterday and takes a fastball high. Well, one thing we have learned early in this game, the Dodger hitters have been aggressive against A.J. Burnett. Faced 6 batters in the second inning and he threw 10 pitches. As Beckett falls behind 3-0. Beckett fell behind 3-0 to the leadoff hitter Ben Revere in the first inning. Revere would eventually ground out. Dominic Brown on deck, the 3-0. Balls at a strike.
Josh popped out of the dugout very early coming out for this inning after his sacrifice bunt got down, threw about 10 warm-up pitches and was ready to go. Sometimes when you pop out of the dugout early, Charlie, you're trying to steal a couple extra ones. You normally only get 8. Counted about 10 and got out there and got loose, but didn't work too well getting that walk.
Now Dominic Brown coming up. When does a bad start turn into a bad year? Dominic Brown is at .206 with 3 home runs and 22 runs batted in. Will Nieves is on deck. Brown in 165 at-bats. With a fly ball to center field. Ethier is there, battling the wind a bit, makes the catch.
When you came back with the question and then the stat on how many at bats, that's when it's starting to look like it has a chance to be a bad year at 165. Most hitters will tell you, give me my first 100 at bats to see where I'm at. 150 at bats, they're starting to worry, and I'm sure Dominic Brown is searching for answers.
Will Nieves coming up. Veteran backup. 11 for 35 this year. Carlos Ruiz with his Sunday day of rest. Cesar Hernandez on deck. And Josh Beckett has a couple of runs to work with in the second inning. Nieves has done a good job as Ruiz's understudy. Giants, or rather the Phillies, are 6-3 when he has made starts this year. Giants will be hosting the Twins later on at AT&T Park. Rockies are in Atlanta. 0-1 to Nieves. Behind the plate, Butera fighting the sun makes the catch.
Very nice mechanics on that pop-up for little leaguers and moms and dads that want to teach little leaguers how to catch a pop-up. Find it, get your back to the field because the curvature of the ball when you get it behind the plate comes back to you, and then once you know where it is, like there where it's coming down, throw your mask completely out of the way, spread your feet, and don't reach up with it with your glove. Let the ball come down to your glove. So many little leaguers want to reach up and jab at it.
A.J. Ellis with this afternoon off. Cesar Hernandez is the batter. High and outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Hernandez 4 for 24, switch hitter. An RBI double for Gonzalez in the first, a solo home run for Turner in the second. 2-0 Dodgers. 2 out in the bottom half of the second inning. And it's 1-1. As the Dodgers head home, the Rockies come into Philadelphia and play 3 with the Phillies. Dodgers have 3 with the Reds, beginning tomorrow at 5. Here's a 1-1, but time is called.
Slight advantage for the Dodgers to begin the homestand because the Cincinnati Reds have the Sunday night baseball game, so they will be getting into LA very late. They're at home against the Cardinals.
Oh, they'll be getting in early. That's early.
Early late.
Ooh. The Sunday night games for teams are the ultimate backhanded compliment. You're so popular, we want the biggest audience. We're going to mess up your day and night. And so the Reds will probably be getting in. Well, let's see. They're going to be in St. Louis. They'll be done 11 midnight. They'll be on 1.
Well, they're at home against St. Louis.
Yeah, so they'll be in about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Their body time.
And then get a snooze and turn around and come out to Dodger Stadium and perform at 5 o'clock. About the only guy for Cincinnati will be well rested is Cueto, who about this time I imagine is flying into LAX. Three and two out. And so Bird will be off and running. Infield straight away. The switch hitting Hernandez. Grounds it foul up the first base line. Marlon Bird with adequate speed. Will not be confused with being a burner. But on the full count, he's got a head start.
36 years old now, but he can still run a little bit. We saw him catch that line drive in right field. Pretty good first step.
It's the second and third that gets to you when you're 36. A.J. Burnett, who's a very good hitting pitcher, is on deck. And so Josh wants to do away with Hernandez here. Into center field, but there's Ethier. And that ends the inning. Now Rusno hits a walk to the man left. We will go to the third. Puig will lead it off. Then Gonzalez and Ethier. Yasiel Puig will lead it off, to be followed by Adrian Gonzalez and Andre Ethier. Speaking of whom, tomorrow at Dodger Stadium, when the Dodgers host the Reds at 5:10, be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance. He'll take home an Andre Ethier themed barbecue apron presented by Farmer John. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Here's Puig, who lined to second base in his first at bat. Dodgers swinging early in the count against Burnett in the first couple of innings. Threw 10 pitches in the second inning to 6 batters. As Puig takes outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
Yasiel saw some early fastballs in that at bat with a man on third, and that soft line drive to second, which didn't get the run in, was a slider. Wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't hack at the first fastball on the inner half that he sees.
Puig hitting .422 this month. Last week's co-player of the week. And he is working on being player of the month. 3 balls and no strikes to Yasiel Puig.
Breaking ball for a ball, fastball away for a ball, and a changeup for a ball. That is some really big time respect leading off an inning from A.J. Burnett. He's a guy who at this point in his career loves to attack hitters and throw strikes.
3-1. Puig's slugging percentage, by the way, is .783. To the right side, and Utley makes the play, 1 out and nobody on. That's the highest slugging percentage in the month of May for any Dodger since the Dodgers came to Los Angeles.
And it's the highest slugging percentage in the National League as long as you take somebody who has over 35 at bats. Yasiel has 83 coming into today, so he is on top of the heap by a long way.
Now here's Gonzalez, who doubled in a run in his first at bat and takes a curve for a strike. 0-1. The Gonzalez double to right ended an 0 for 12 slump. Ethier on deck. And it's 1-1. So Gonzalez at .271 now with 12 home runs, 35 runs batted in, ranks him 5th in the league.
That breeze is blowing out to right now. We just got it kicking up. Nice thing to ride on for a fly ball to right.
Or a line drive to left. So Gonzalez 0 for 12 coming into the game is 2 for 2 this afternoon. Cue the wind machine, huh?
Well, Andre Ethier playing center field now out there where those flags are fluttering. He knows what the wind is doing, and if he wants to incorporate that into his offense, and he's felt a lot of wind out there going out to right, he will bring that into this at bat, especially with the first base open over there, the big hole for the ball on the ground, and then think if he hits it in that direction, gets it in the air, he's got some help.
Ethier took a call, 3rd strike in his first at bat. And a strike, 0-1. There are some parts where if you watch the flags fly, that's not a good indicator of the direction in which the ball may be headed. For instance, when you were in Texas.
Yes.
Maybe the most misleading flags in baseball. On 0-1. Grounded to 3rd. 5, 4. And Ethier beats the throw.
Well, we're going to get the proverbial delay and the look for the thumb up or thumb down from Ryan Sandberg.
Larry Boa
is in charge of signals.
Bench coach talking to his crew in the clubhouse as they are watching the replay. Will they make a call to New York?
Big thumbs up. Ryan wants him to look at it.
So Fielden Culbreth, who is the first base umpire and the crew chief.
This will be a tough angle because The angle there, the first angle was pretty good, and the first angle looked like, as far as the Dodgers are concerned, I think they might be out. Let's see what the guys in New York say, Charlie.
Fielding Culbreth, the first base umpire and the crew chief, is about to make the call. Oh, he's about to get a new headset. Brian Knight, the home plate umpire, is the other one in on the party line.
Looks out by about the length of a spike. They're about 3/8 of an inch long.
Conversation continues. Most of these replay reviews take about 90 seconds or so. This one seems to be running long. And maybe having some technical issues to boot. Like one of those cell phone commercials. Can you hear me? Testing 1 2. Is this mic on?
You just can't hear the hold music.
Well, they're watching it over and over again in New York on the Lower West Side.
You could text them the answer.
Yeah. We are 3 minutes and counting, which is about twice as long as usual. Give or take a few seconds, been about a minute and a half for a replay call. Hello, Western Union.
Pony Express.
Oh, what do you think? And he is safe at first.
Oh, not convincing. Because of the block of Ryan Howard's foot, you can't tell from the angle when the ball actually touches the leather. Then also you can't tell when the foot is actually down on the base or off the base. And since he was called safe, I think it stays that way because of that.
Well, the first base camera, all you could see was the backside of Ryan Howard, and he resembled a human eclipse.
It was not conclusive.
2 minutes and 43 seconds worth of chit chat, and Turner, who homered in his first at bat, takes a strike. It's 0-1. Well, that means the Phillies have used their replay. And Turner takes inside.
I think there'll be some massaging of what goes on with replays in the future and the catchers blocking home plate. Definite adjustments to rules and language coming, I would think, for next year.
Nobody, however, I was going to say, has really argued with the concept of either of those rule adjustments.
No.
It's now just a matter of tweaking it and just making it better.
Mechanics. Yep. But I do miss the arguments. I miss the managers coming out and arguing before we. I wish they could come out and argue and then we'd have the replay.
Can't you just see what we just saw?
Something.
Every once in a while. Alana Rizzo, 2 minutes and 43 seconds of replay review.
Well, Don Mattingly was joking with the media earlier, guys, that he really wants to be able to throw a flag. He said, why should I have to go on the field? We should be able to throw a flag. It doesn't make sense for me to stand up there and wait for thumbs up or thumbs down. I just want to throw a flag to challenge.
Justin Turner is struck out swinging, and that ends the inning. Flag or no flag, no runs and 1 hit after 2.5. The Dodgers 2-0. goes to bat for the Phillies in the bottom half of the third. Andre Ethier making his 16th start in center field. And Alana, by the looks of it, he's going to be out there a while longer.
Yeah, no question about it, Charlie. I asked Don Mattingly what he likes about Andre Ethier in center field, and he said really because of the sightline that he has at Dodger Stadium, being Mattingly, he said he really loves the routes that Andre Ethier runs. He said, you know what, his angles are always direct. Now, from a speed standpoint, not the prototypical center fielder, but they really like the way that he looks in center field, guys.
A.J. Burnett leads off in the bottom of the third. Burnett is 5 for 18. One of the 5 hits, a double. 2-0. 41 pitches into the ball game for Josh Beckett. 2 walks, yet to give up a hit. And 2-0. 2-1. So the Phillies have won 4 of the 6 games played so far. They have won the season series from the Dodgers, who are 7-2 here at Citizens Bank, going back since 2002. Dodgers are looking to win the rubber game of this 3-game series and come away from this road trip at 5-4. But when the Dodgers left Los Angeles, second strikeout for Beckett, Dodgers had the best road record in the National League, and they were facing 3 teams with losing records at home: Arizona, New York, and Philadelphia. And so just coming away with a 5-4 record on this road trip, like taking home a T-shirt.
It sure is. And you know, it doesn't really seem like this Dodger team is fazed by playing at home or playing on the road. It's about what they do themselves. Where we saw the young Miami team that was outstanding at home but terrible on the road, and you could actually maybe see why they had problems. But this club is really so well tested as far as career paths and veterans and ability that it's about just getting it all together and getting the pieces to fire all at once.
On 0-1, lined to Gordon. And there's 2 out. Dodgers on the year 9-13 at home, 17-11 on the road.
I don't see any piece in the rotation that all of a sudden you say, well, this guy should pitch better at home than on the road. I don't see any piece in the bullpen that all of a sudden you think, oh, he pitches better at Dodger Stadium than he would on the road. These hitters all know how to hit line drives or hit the long fly balls. The speed is not going to slump in either ballpark, home or road. I think it's about the ball club.
Here's Jimmy Rollins in hot pursuit of perhaps the greatest Philadelphia Philly player of all time, who is one booth to our left, the great Mike Schmidt. His broadcast here on Sunday. Michael Jack Schmidt hit 548 home runs, and we are proud to report none off you.
That's very nice, and it was a lot of fun to face him, I'll tell you that, or to face any Phillies team, because I went to high school in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, just across the water.
Were you a Philly fan as a kid?
I was kind of a Phillies fan as a kid, yeah. When you're in high school and that's the local baseball team. Barry Maddox dropping the ball in center field kind of hurt a little bit. Watching Mike play was fantastic, and Larry Bowa, and watching Steve Carlton pitch.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Jimmy Rollins, who bounced to first at his first at bat and looks at foul off to the left and out of play. (1972 to 1989). Was there a better third baseman in the game, and was there a better third baseman who ever played that position?
Outstanding athlete, outstanding golfer, I'm sure, to this day. And he had a swing for me that reflected like a buggy whip. He could stop his front leg, and all of a sudden that bat would just whip in with those really good hands. Very good breaking ball hitter, great low ball hitter. And I love the kind of dance he did after he hit his 500th home run between home and first. It was his way of celebrating. Kind of a fake fast run, but running in place.
And the great call of the great Harry Kalas.
I didn't know how to describe this action that he does right here, but he's kind of running in place.
Boy, those Phillies teams are something. On 3-2, Rollins into center field. And Ethier has that first burst, and he is able to glide underneath these fly balls and make it look easy. 6 in a row retired by Josh Beckett. Michael Jack Beckett. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda. Now at your Honda dealer. A beautiful Sunday spring afternoon, Memorial Day in Philadelphia. And the Dodgers, 2 runs and 6 hits. The Phillies are still looking for their first. Josh Beckett threw 54 pitches, 30 strikes, and 2 walks. Drew Butera to lead it off for the Dodgers in the 4th. He'll be followed by Arizbel Arbarena and then Josh Beckett. So Butera, who's single to right, would eventually be cut down on a play at the plate. An RBI double for Gonzalez in the 1st, a solo home run for Turner in the 2nd, and here's the first pitch of the 4th, and a fly ball to right field. Bird having difficulty with the sun. Makes the catch. 1 out in the 4th. It brings up Arizbel Arbarena, who is now 2 for 7. Single to right in his first at bat. Had his first major league hit yesterday. And with Hanley Ramirez on the shelf for we don't know how long, Arbarena is going to get a lot of time to peddle his wares. And he's had a grand total of 2 plays defensively in his first 2 games combined. Into center field, and Revere. 2 gone. Phillies host the Rockies as the Dodgers head home and will entertain the Reds beginning tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 7:10. Greinke and Simon on Tuesday. Kershaw and Bailey on Wednesday. And tomorrow Ryu faces Cueto. Beckett a sacrifice in his first at bat. 1 ball and 1 strike. Diamondbacks and Mets tied at 1 in the top of the 6th. To short. Rollins from short left. And Josh finally makes it. 6-pitch inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left after 3.5. 2-0 Dodgers. Tip clouds overhead on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. Don't miss Hinge and Ryu bobblehead night on Tuesday at 7:10 when the Dodgers take on the Cincinnati Reds. First 50,000 fans in attendance will take home a mini Ryu compliments of Visit Korea with Asiana Airlines. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Ryu will pitch the bar night, and on Tuesday night is bobblehead night. With Beckett making the last out in the top of the fourth. Now he has finally finished up his warm-up tosses as we head to the bottom of the fourth with Utley, Howard, and Bird coming up. Dodgers began the day 5.5 games behind the Giants. That's the biggest deficit the Dodgers have faced so far this season. They're 2 games over 500. This is their 51st game of the year. And we're closing in at roughly the 1/3 mark of the season. Chase Utley walked in his first at-bat.
Charlie, if you're one to analyze statistics at a precise level, and you're into pitch counts, and that's his 55th. Josh Beckett's highest batting average against is between pitches 51 and 75. That's when hitters hit 283 off him. All the other pitch counts, as far as from 1 to 100, it's under 200 and actually under 190.
So he's going into danger territory based on his statistical history.
Yeah, and I would say that pitch count, in reference, to give it some context, is right around the pitch count when you're going second or third time through the order, depending on the outing, and you're going through the middle of the order. And that's what we're about to face here.
Into short left, Crawford is there. Still no hits for the Phillies. 3 1/3 innings into the game. And again, Beckett and his personal renaissance and how he has changed his game around. Of course, he had the surgery. Of course, used to be the hard thrower. Of course, he had the thumb injury in spring. And now here he is cruising along yet again. Came into the game with an ERA of under 3. And so far, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, and that's it. And an ERA of 2.70.
Gone through a lot of different chapters this year, from a kid in the candy store after coming back from the thoracic outlet surgery and having his arm speed and getting his fastball back. Not all the way back to the youthful 96, but 89 to 94 now, and pitching at 91, 92. and then went through the transition of which pitches would be most effective, and the light bulb was brought on by A.J. Ellis as far as the curveball effectiveness.
Gonzalez will take it easily.
So Josh Beckett is really not the Dodger fifth starter. He is a Dodger starter. And of course the ace is Clayton Kershaw, and performance-wise, with a Cy Young in his back pocket, Zach Greinke is number 2. And after that, you can kind of throw him in a hat and say we have a whole bunch of other good starters other than 1 and 2.
Ryu, who starts tomorrow, Beckett starting today, and Herron, who started yesterday. Now Marlon Byrd, who walked in his first at-bat. It was about this time a year ago, if I recall. We're in Milwaukee. It was the end of a game. And it was a long walk from the visitors' clubhouse to the team bus. And Josh Beckett and I were walking together, and Beckett spent the entire time looking at his shoes as we were making the way toward the bus. And he said, I have no feeling in my fingertips, and I don't know what to do. And you can tell us better than anybody about the need for the feel of the fingertips and the ability to throw the ball. Here's the 1-1. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, if you have no feeling in your fingertips, first of all, you probably don't have any strength. Second of all, you probably don't have any arm speed. And third of all, no kinesthetic sense, no feeling of where the ball and the hand is in space when it's away from your body. And so you've got to have the feeling in the pads of your fingers so that you know where your hand is in space and you can deliver different pitches and have control.
And then, of course, he would have the surgery and feel almost as good as new. And then, wouldn't you know it, his thumb acts up on him and spring a little bit.
That was a door jammer.
And here he is now, telling quite a story. 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, and nothing else for the Phillies. Still nothing else. That's 3 strikeouts for Beckett, who has retired 9 batters in a row. We go to the 5th, 2-0 Dodgers.
The #1 live streaming sports service is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Dodgers.com for more details.
Top of the order for the Dodgers as we head to the 5th inning. It'll be D. Gordon, Carl Crawford, and Yasiel Puig. Dodgers 2 runs and 6 hits. The Phillies nothing across. Gordon began the game with a single to right. He'd steal second and be knocked home on a 2-out double by Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez broke an 0 for 12 slump with that base hit, and Justin Turner led off the 2nd inning with a home run over the wall in center. Those are the only 2 runs of the ball game, and it's 0-1 to Gordon. For A.J. Burnett, this is about to be his 53rd pitch of the day. 32 for strikes. Gordon comes out from underneath his hat.
Charlie, it's got another feel like one of those games we've had on this road trip, and the Dodgers are 500 to this point. Trying to finish it off with a win, but it's one of those games that kind of laying in the weeds. You can either take over and win it convincingly, or the Phillies, are they going to climb back in? Time for the Dodgers to assert themselves on offense.
The Dodgers have one of those offenses where you look at the statistics, you say, all right, they're third in the league in batting average, runs scored, second in the league in hits, fourth in the league in home runs, and third in the league in on-base percentage. Their rotation, middle of the pack. But statistically, you would think they'd be doing better than they've done.
I think the offense has been one more of a hot and cold offense than a consistent offense. The bullpen has kind of been hot and more cold at times, and it had an extreme work level. The rotation has been afflicted by injuries of Kershaw and been solidified by Greinke, and now they're both back together and healthy, but we've lost Ryu.
Rollins has to hurry. One out.
But it's just been a frustrating team to this point as far as hovering around 500. Now the largest deficit to the Giants at 5.5 starting today. They just haven't fired on all cylinders yet, where they really have played up to their resumes and to their capabilities.
And again, 10 days ago when the Dodgers left L.A., going to Arizona, going to New York, and going to Philadelphia, all three teams with losing records at home, and the Dodgers left town with the best road record. You thought, well, okay, here's a chance to fatten up. Well, they're 4-4 and hoping to come away with a winning record on this trip. One, as we mentioned earlier, a trip of great expectations. Carl Crawford 0 for 2 today. The count is 1-1. Crawford began the month hitting 185. And now he is at 264. So he's hit about 386 since the 3rd of May to get it up where it is. And defensively, he's played much better. And again, he's a couple of years removed from the elbow surgery, and he's throwing better. On 1-2. Routine to left. And it'll bring up Puig. We mentioned it on Friday night, and some of it might have had something to do with the weather. About 3-4 years running, every game here at Citizens Bank Park was sold out, packed to the rafters, and noisy from the first pitch to last. For the times they are a-changing, the Phillies at 21-25 are 5 games behind Atlanta, last in the National League East. As they are wont to say on such occasions, plenty of good seats still available.
Philadelphia was never a place that you felt like the crowd was watching golf or tennis.
To third. This is going to be a tough play. The throw. Another infield hit for Yasiel Puig. He had 1 last night and 2 on Friday night.
He continues to have the approach at the plate of swinging at strikes and taking balls, laying off breaking balls away, and continues to run the way he can run. He will be in a conversation someday for a batting title, which is a rarity for a right-handed hitter.
He's second in the major leagues in batting average. So there's 2 out. Adrian Gonzalez coming up. Gonzalez is 2 for 2 and an RBI, and Puig, by the way, has 4 stolen bases in 7 tries.
When you think about Mike Trout, that's the type of tools that Puig has. The guy that's absolutely amazing, though, for me, is a guy that can lead a league in hitting and major leagues in hitting, in Miguel Cabrera, and can't run a lick.
There was a catcher in the 40s, Ernie Lombardi, who, if he got any slower, would run in reverse. But he was always among the batting leaders. He could just flat out hit.
Infield hits are probably somewhere between 10 and 20 a year for the guys that can run. Sometimes even they creep a little higher. Somebody like D. Gordon might end up with above 20.
Puig has 4 this weekend. 1 ball and no strikes. One of the reasons why Mickey Mantle rarely went into a prolonged slump. He could run even with the bad knees. He was a switch hitter. And when he was in a slump, he would drag bunts and beat him out that way. One ball, 1 strike to Adrian Gonzalez at 275.
Yeah, Puig's next at bat. He's coming up 1 for 3. It's a little different going 1 for 3 with the infield hit, and then you get a hit your next at bat. Now you turned it into a huge day compared to 0 for 3, and now you're trying to rescue your day in your 4th at bat.
There he goes. Pitches low, and he steals second.
Well, we talked about the inning that the Dodgers could take over offensively. Well, one guy got the message. The guy standing on second base.
Beats out the infield hit, steals second, and now Gonzalez with a chance to plate him. Gonzalez 288 with runners in scoring position this year. To the right side, and Utley has an easy bounce. And Burnett gets out of the inning. No runs, a hit, the man left after 4.5 innings of play. The Dodgers 2 and the Phillies nothing. Afternoon once again. It is Andre Ethier making his 16th start in center field. It is Matt Kemp who is watching the game from the bench. And there's more to the story from Alana Rizzo.
Well, it's actually the 3rd straight day, Charlie, that Matt Kemp has watched the game from the bench. He hasn't played since Thursday in New York. Don Mattingly saying earlier today that they're going to start working Matt Kemp in left field. He's still going to be in center a little bit of the time, but he wants him to work his way 100% healthy again. Wants to work him in center field a little bit. He'll be doing it first at Dodger Stadium before actually getting into a ball game. He'll be working specifically with Davey Lopes primarily and a little bit with Lorenzo Bundy as well, but they really like Andre Ethier's defense in center, and they're going to shift Matt over to left.
Dominic Brown, a ball and 2 strikes as we begin the bottom half of the 5th. And again, this grand experiment, 4 outfielders into 3, and it's really almost become 5 outfielders into 4. Van Slyke has played well against lefties. It's been kind of a lava lamp as this thing has evolved, and now it's Ethier who seems to have a foothold in center.
You know what? This is a production level, and you hope that your players are healthy. You hope they come back to what their resumes are, and when they are fully healthy and say they can go out and play, they get a chance to go out and earn their jobs and keep their jobs. But right now, the Dodgers are evaluating the defense of Matt Kemp as something that maybe they'd like to see him in left field.
Crawford is at the wall. Brown flies to left, 1 out.
It doesn't mean that Matt Kemp will not be back and be the starting center fielder someday, but right now what they're seeing in center field, they think he's more suited to be a left fielder and at times a center fielder, and they're going to give this a chance to play its way out.
The Dodgers outfield, all 5 of them, Crawford, Ethier, Kemp, Puig, and Van Slyke, in alphabetical order, I might add, have the best batting average for an outfielder in baseball, 295, and collectively they have hit 25 home runs, knocked in 87, and on base percentage of 365. So there may be some feelings that are bruised, but the production is coming from all 5 outfielders. Well, Nieves is the hitter.
And this is not a move that's anything to do with offense at all, because Matt Kemp was not moved down in the batting order or told that you're not hitting at a certain level. His offense has really started to come, and the last thing to come will be his power. But right now it's really about jumps and range and the daily health, and he has admitted that his defense needs improvement. He's also admitted there are some days the legs feel alive and are feeling outstanding, and he feels like his old self, and he says there are other days that they feel a little dead and doesn't really have the spark. And so this is, something that Matt understands and is accepting, but he's going to have to put in the work now to get to that cutting edge level to play in left field and center.
Sitting beside Sean Figgins and listening to Hanley Ramirez, who has his health issue. Arabuena. Oh, made that look easy, didn't it?
He rounds this ball off. Great reactions off the bat. When that ball reached the hitting area, he was leaning in that direction, got an outstanding jump and very quick transfer between the glove to the throwing hand right there, continuing to practice. Talk about guys who take their bats into the field. Looks like he takes his glove into the dugout and works on it there.
Cesar Hernandez is the batter. In the meantime, Phillies are still looking for their first hit with 2 out in the 5th. And Josh Beckett has struck out 2 and walked 2. Dominic Brown sent Crawford to the wall here in the 5th inning. And that was the most serious at bat to this point. Beckett will tag out the runner. That will end the inning. 9 in a row have been retired by Josh Beckett. It's getting serious. We go to the 6th, 2-0 Dodgers. 7 hits, and the Phillies have had 2 walks. Andre Ethier will lead it off in the 6th. Join us for the next episode of Connected With as we sit down with Dusty Baker to discuss winning the 1981 World Series against the Yankees. Don't miss Connected With Dusty Baker later today at 3 o'clock on Sportsnet LA. They were teammates in Florida a decade ago and got a pitcher's duel going so far today. Only Beckett has been better. And Andre Ethier will lead it off in the 6th. Ethier is 0 for 2. Force out in his last at-bat. Close play at first. There was a replay, and instead of a double play, it was a force out. And it took about 2 minutes and 43 seconds to determine that one. Turner on deck, and then Butera. A.J. Burnett deals a foul back. Ethier 275. A couple of home runs and 21 runs batted in. Batting in the 5th spot today with Turner on deck. Outfield straightaway. The wind is nowhere near playing havoc with the fielders as it did in the first 2 games of this series. That's a nice breeze. And a grounder foul up the first base line. Well, the Phillies made a roster move today. Cody Ashe, their 3rd baseman, placed on the disabled list, and attention Oxnard. Justin DeFreitas, your prodigal son, has been called up from Lehigh Valley. It's just a step up when you leave a team called the Iron Pigs to go to the Phillies. And the meal money ain't bad either. So DeFreitas out of the bullpen. He's a right-hander. On 2-2 to short. About a year ago, Don Mattingly called Andre Ethier into the office, and it was in Milwaukee. And Ethier was not hustling out on balls that he should have. Ever since that meeting, Andre Ethier, to his credit, there has never been a ball that he hasn't gone all out every time. So sometimes a call to the principal's office pays off. 1 out and nobody on. Justin Turner coming up. He takes low and outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Turner's had a good road trip, a home run in New York, and a leadoff home run here in the 2nd inning this afternoon. He bangs a base hit into left field. So Turner's done a nice job filling in for Juan Uribe while he's on the disabled list with a hamstring.
Starting to get a little rhythm at the plate, Justin Turner is, and once you get your rhythm in your eye, then you start to uncork some of the power, and we've seen that on this road trip.
It's that never-ending dilemma. Well, I got to get some timing to get some hits, but if I'm not playing, how am I going to get the timing? If I don't have the timing, how am I going to get the hits? Well, with Uribe now on the shelf, Turner's beginning to get some of those reps, and he's 2 for 3 today. He was 1 for 4 yesterday. And now Butera takes high and in. Drew is 1 for 2.
It's one of the arts of scouting, when you can kind of swipe a player, and with very few reps, a scout can sometimes detect who is about to get hot or who could turn the corner if they got him more reps. As they watch batting practice, or they watch guys shag, or they watch guys get a few pinch hit appearances. All of a sudden the reports go in to Ned Colletti or to GMs around the country. And players go on hit lists and spring up in conversations about possible trades, and then sometimes the trade goes down and a guy comes on board and makes an impact.
Turner has 1 stolen base this year, and Butera takes outside 2-0. Bell Arboreena is on deck. So the left side of the Dodger infield. Turner at third and Arboreena. It's not exactly what the Dodgers envisioned in Glendale. Two balls and no strikes. There goes Turner. Ground ball. And it's going to be slowly hit. Rollins has only 1 play. That's to first. Turner goes to second with 2 out. And Arborena's coming up.
It's an interesting little hit and run because it gives you a chance to turn the lineup over. If A.J. Burnett decides to pitch around Bell, you might get Josh Beckett's at bat out of the way, turn the lineup over. And you also stay out of the double play and get a runner in scoring position.
One for 2 and 2 for 8. There's Arboreena with Turner at second base. And Arborena's got his first 2 big league hits. Looking for his first big league RBI as Burnett's about to throw his 78th pitch of the game. Way outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Arboreena single to center yesterday, single to right this afternoon. Again, we are watching his first at-bats together. Saw him work on the backfields quite a bit in spring upon his arrival in Glendale. The scouting report was that he was major league ready defensively, a work in progress offensively. Into right field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit. Arboreena with the hit. Throw to the plate, not in time. He goes to second base. Arboreena with his first major league RBI. A solid single to right, and the Dodgers lead 3-0.
In game 1, he looked very unorthodox in the box, uncomfortable, anxious. And it looked like a big-time work in progress as far as the offense was concerned. The next few games, he's looked a lot more comfortable, and now he's got 3 hits and an RBI at the big league level.
At Double-A, where he hit a total of 208, he had a 6-game hitting streak before he was called up. It was 11 for his last 25. That's his first RBI as a big leaguer, his first multi-hit game. Turner's got 2 hits today, so does Gonzalez, and the Dodgers have a 3-0 lead. Well, he's going to be fun to watch, isn't he?
So far, the early reports look good.
1 ball, 1 strike to Josh Beckett. D. Gordon is on deck. 3 runs and 9 hits for the Dodgers. Nothing across for the Phillies. 2 out in the 6th. Beckett takes a strike. Beckett and Burnett were teammates in Florida for about 5 years. They won themselves a World Series championship in 2003. And down goes Beckett. But a 2-out single to right for Bell Arboreena. And the Dodgers have a 3-0 lead after 5.5 innings of play. On Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box and try the new Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. It's Jack's hottest sandwich yet. And by the Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2014 Truck of the Year and first ever back-to-back champion.
Well, Josh Beckett in 320 career starts has 11 complete games, 5 shutouts, and a one-hitter with the Red Sox at Tampa 3 years ago. And as we go to the bottom of the 6th, he's walked 2 batters, and that's been the sum total of the Philadelphia offense as A.J. Burnett will begin the 6th. No balls and 1 strike. Ben Revere and Jimmy Rollins to follow. And to this point, Beckett 76 pitches, 46 for strikes. Oh and 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Josh has thrown the ball exceptionally well today. Pitched around some 3-0 counts. He has the 2 blemishes, the walks, but that is not something to concentrate on. This would be a key to get the pitcher out and to set up a easy inning.
Through 24 pitches in the first inning. And then 15, 15, 11, 11. And now the 2-2. Burnett, all in all, not a bad hitting pitcher. He's 5 for 19 this year.
Josh's last outing, the 6th inning, was the inning that had melted down on him. He had pitched 5 and given up only 1 against the Mets.
The shortstop. Like playing catch. There's an ease and a grace with which Roosevelt Arabarena goes shortstop.
He makes me smile when they hit him the ball.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Ray Ordonez, Omar Vizquel, Rafael Santana was that tall and that smooth. But even when the ball goes around the infield for outs, it just seems like he's playing with like a yo-yo, like he can do tricks with it.
When he was going through some of those infield drills in spring, there was almost a sense, without the hot dog and showmanship of the Harlem Globetrotters, with the ease with which he was able to make the transfer from the glove to the hand. You almost want the ball to be hit to him as much as you want to see Puig with a bat in his hand come to the plate. No balls and 2 strikes to Ben Revere. With Jimmy Rollins on deck. And Josh Beckett cruising right along. Into left. Crawford. You mentioned Ray Ordonez. He's riding on the bus last night back to the hotel from the ballpark with Pat Corrales, who has been Arabarena's most ardent champion in the organization. And that's whose name came up in conversation. Ordonez was there when you were there, wasn't he?
Yes, we actually, a couple days prior, I was on the bus with Pat, and we were sitting next to each other, and we were going over shortstops that he was trying to paint an image for me. And he brought that up, and we were talking about a whole bunch of different shortstops that I played with and that he was around. And it is fun to talk to Pat. It's like talking to a baseball encyclopedia.
It's walking into the museum And when you put those headphones on and you go from one exhibit to the next, it's Pat Corrales' voice when talking about baseball players. Here's the 0-2. High and outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And you were with Omar in Cleveland.
Omar Vizquel in Cleveland, and Alfredo Griffin, and when we won it all in '88 with Dave Anderson right by his side.
On 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jimmy Rollins, who's 0 for 2.
Lately, my subjects with Pat have been totally about Bobby Cox and those 14 championship years in Atlanta, to try and really dissect the organization and the chemistry of that organization and how the information flowed and how they battled hiccups and headaches, because there's just so much there to do it that well and to do it that long.
Pat, of course, managed here in Philadelphia, and Gonzalez has an easy play, and Beckett has another easy inning. Well, he's got a no-hitter through 6. We go to the 7th. 3-0 Dodgers. Nothing. We head to the final third of the game. Gordon, Crawford, and Puig coming up, and a look at the Dodger calendar brought to you by 76. Right after the game today, the Dodgers fly home to host the Reds. A 5 o'clock start tomorrow, to be followed by 7 o'clock starts on Tuesday and Wednesday night against Cincinnati. Then the Pirates come in for 4 Thursday and Friday night. A 4 o'clock start next Saturday, and a week from today, a 5 o'clock start with the Backlund Bucks in town. D. Gordon, Carl Crawford, and Yasiel Puig will bat for the Dodgers in the 7th. 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, no hits, no errors for the Phillies. Josh Beckett has retired 15 batters in a row. He's given up 2 walks, and that's it. 1 ball, no strikes to Gordon, who led off the game with a single to right. Stole his 29th base of the year and came in on a 2-out double by Adrian Gonzalez in the first. A leadoff home run for Justin Turner in the second. And a 2-out single to right, first RBI in his career, Arizbel Arboreena, and the Dodgers lead 3-0. Crawford and Puig to follow here in the 7th inning. 3 balls and no strikes.
The story's on the defensive side right now for the Dodgers. Yes, they can get more runs right now, but with Josh Beckett doing something historic right now when you start getting into the 7th inning and you haven't given up a hit. But the thing that I always think about nowadays when you get into something like this is how many pitches will they let him throw? And he's got 90 right now, and he's averaging 15 an inning. Well, you have to go back to 2012, April 29th, to look at an outing that he pitched for Boston against the Chicago White Sox, that he threw 126 pitches. That's the most pitches he's thrown since 2012. he could do it. He could go 15 an inning the rest of the way and have 125.
And there's D. Gordon, la-di-dee, la-di-da, stealing his 30th base of the year. It might as well be defensive indifference, as easy as he's able to run.
The jump, the wheels, the turnover. Those legs turn over in a big way. He doesn't have the longest stride, but the turnover time is a blink of an eye as far as how quick his legs can move.
1 ball, no strikes to Crawford. Gordon has 30 stolen bases. The Phillies have 28. Two balls and no strikes to Crawford, with Gordon dancing off second. 3-0.
A lot of times pitchers don't want to be bothered. They put a towel over their head. But Josh having a conversation with one of Philadelphia's finest.
I need my security. There's a 3-0. 3 balls and a strike. Meanwhile, D. Gordon at second base has more stolen bases in Colorado, Miami, the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, the Phillies, the Nationals, the Giants, the Braves, and off the glove of Howard in to score is Gordon on his way to second base as Crawford and the Dodgers take a 4-0 lead.
Back in the second inning, Ryan Howard made a nice play at first base with a man on third and cut down Drew Butera at the plate. This one, he decides the jab step forward and then reads it as I need to let this ball go back. But when he did that, it took that extra hop, got by him.
It goes as an error, and the Dodgers happy to take their 4th run. No RBI. Only Crawford at second base is mildly disappointed. Side, of course, from the Phillies, Ryan Howard and their fans. Now here's Puig. 1 for 3, an infield hit. Strike, 0-1.
The Dodgers have really taken a hold of this game now, 4-0. The starters locked in. Bullpen is ready, I'm sure, if they're needed. And they are in the heart of the order with the hottest hitter in all of baseball at the plate.
Outside. Puig was 3 for 3, 2 walks on Friday night, 2 infield hits. Yesterday, 2 for 4 and an infield hit. And today, 1 for 3 at an infield hit as Jeff Manship is warming for the Phillies. So Puig can hit him long, he can hit him short. And he hits it hard. Crawford will hold at third, and now look at Puig go to second base. Oh, man. As soon as Brown got it back into the infield to the left side, Puig was off and running.
You don't do this by watching. You do this by running and making a turn at first and realizing right about when you get to Davey Lopes, not needing his signal, right there, when he saw the angle of Brown's shoulders going towards home, he didn't even wait for the throw, because he knew if he was going to change in left field the direction of throwing that ball, he'd have to recock. He'd have made it like Willie Mays used to deke guys.
Watching him go from first to second, you forget he's 6'3" and 245. Infield halfway for Gonzalez. So Puig is 2 for 4. Gonzalez is 2 for 3. The Dodgers have 4 runs and 10 hits. The Phillies no runs and no hits. We're in the top of the 7th. And Gonzalez drills one into right, and it's going to drop in for a base hit. Crawford scores. Puig holds at third for Gonzalez, his third hit of the day, and his second run batted in. And the Dodgers now lead 5-0.
Adrian gets a high pitch, about thigh high out over the plate. He grounded out in his last at bat and was upset. Didn't pick up an RBI, but here makes it count with runners in scoring position.
So Gonzalez, who came into the game hitless in his previous 12 at-bats, 3 for 4 today, and 2 runs batted in, 36 runs batted in on the year. Puig at third, Gonzalez is at first, and Ethier coming up. Ethier 0 for 3. Dodgers lead 5-0 now. Justin Turner on deck. Ethier takes a strike. For Puig, they have called that a double. He came in the moment that Dominic Brown was thrown to the left side of the infield, went from first to second. So for Yasiel Puig, his 12th double of the year.
It's an interesting double. Usually a base hit and a fielder's choice. But he gets to second.
The 100th pitch of the game for A.J. Burnett. Watch Puig on the base hit to left. Hard line drive to begin with.
Right there is where he sees the shoulders. You see him go from a solid run to a sprint about 3 to 4 feet short of first base. He picked up the angle of Dominic Brown's body and he said, I'm going this way.
How would you like to be a quarterback and have Yasiel Puig be an outside linebacker on a bull rush?
I'd like to have a blocker in front of him.
I'd rather have a tank.
Yeah.
And then it's even money. So Ethier, 2 home runs, 21 runs batted in, 2 in here in the 7th, first and third, and nobody out. So Josh Beckett, who has walked 2 batters, struck out 2 batters, retired 15 in a row, yet to surrender a hit. This rather lengthy top half of the 7th inning. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for him?
Well, if he was starting to get stiff, I don't think we'd see him there sitting on the bench. He'd probably start moving around, doing some stretching. So he's probably enjoying the rest right now, but he'll do what it takes.
And no warm-up jacket.
He's feeling good. It's a beautiful day here in Philadelphia and still in the sun. The shadows will start coming here in another hour.
This is a quintessential spring day on the East Coast.
We had the 3:05 start yesterday, and we didn't really deal with any shadows until about the 9th inning. So this should be a full sunlight game.
On 1 and 2. Now Ethier's making a nuisance of himself for A.J. Burnett. 36,141 for paid attendance at Citizens Bank. Diamondbacks and Mets are tied at 1 in the 8th inning up at Citi Field. Now the 1-2. Ethier slowly hit to short. There is 1. There is 2. But Puig comes in to score the 3rd run of the 7th. And the Dodgers now lead it 6-1. 6-0.
No RBI for Andre Ethier, but that's Yasiel Puig's run right there. Getting to second base on the ball that they called a double, but is not a double for more than maybe half a dozen big leaguers. And of those half a dozen, you've got to smell it before you get it.
2 out, and Turner is the batter.
I don't know if you heard on our directional mics there a little bit, but he goes, how many more? How many more? You're going to go 3 more innings? Or how many more runs do you need? It is loose down there.
2 balls and no strikes to Turner, with Butera on deck and Arborena to follow. To third. A lot of topspin. Hernandez handles it. That ends the inning. Dodgers tack on 3 runs, 3 hits, 1 error. 7th inning stretch. Dodgers 6-0. Josh Beckett has been 2 walks short of perfection through 6. In case you're wondering how far has he taken a no-hit bid in his career, 6 2/3 when pitching for the Red Sox in 2009 against the Tigers. Well, he has retired the last 15 batters he has faced. A 2-out walk to Chase Utley in the first, a leadoff walk to Marlon Byrd in the second, and plenty of nothing since.
His arm speed has been outstanding. His release point has been out front. He's kept the ball down when he's wanted to. The breaking ball has been sharp. And at times, if he's lost it a little bit, the mistakes have been in very good areas.
Well, he's got the middle of the Philly lineup here in the 7th. Utley, Howard, and Byrd. And 33-year-old Josh Beckett as a no-hitter as we begin the 7th. Utley has flied to left and has walked, and he is grounded to second base. First out of the 7th.
Well, nice to get the first out after having a long wait. The Dodgers get 3 runs in the 7th. They now have 11 hits. But D. Gordon gets the first attempt from the first pitch of the 7th from Josh Beckett.
Ryan Howard coming up. Howard is struck out and grounded out. And is 3 for 8 in his career. Against Beckett, takes a strike, 0-1. The Dodgers with a big shift on, and in short right field is D. Gordon. And the Philly fanatic trying to muster up some energy here. But Beckett has kept the Phillies at bay.
First pitch fastball, second pitch breaking ball. Ryan Howard guessing gas and did not get it. Got the curve.
Outfield deep and straight away. The shift on right side of the infield.
Was the Philly fanatic fooled on this replay? Giving a little hitting advice. Stay back, stay calm.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Ryan Howard. '16 in a row retired by Joshua Patrick Beckett out of Bern, Texas. We'll do it again. So far, it is the fanatic who's provided the only Philadelphia entertainment so far today. It's all been in the hands of Beckett as Howard fouls it off to the left.
Josh still has the good fastball there, locating it up and in to Ryan Howard at 92 miles an hour. You can double up with the fastball in, or you can go breaking ball in the dirt. And then he's also got the changeup as a weapon to go low and away.
Beckett, first round pick of the Marlins, second overall back in 1999.
"90 pitches coming into this inning. Got the first pitch out, but now Ryan Howard is extending the pitch count.
Into center field. 8th year is there. Well, 17 in a row for Beckett. Brings up Marlon Byrd. Next pitch for Beckett will be his 100th. Still indeed manageable with a no-hitter and a 6-run lead. Into short left. Arena is back. Another perfect inning for Beckett. He has retired 18 straight. He's got a no-hitter through 7. We go to the 8th. Dodgers 6, Phillies nothing. Call the friends and neighbors. Josh Beckett's got a no-hitter through 7, and he has retired the last 18 batters in a row. And a reminder, head to Dodger Stadium on Thursday when the Dodgers open their series with Andrew McCutchen and the Pirates at 7:10. First 40,000 fans in attendance take home a Dodger team-themed T-shirt presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Zach Greinke enjoying the work of his partner Josh Beckett. Inevitably, when no-hitters get closer and closer, there's the talk of the jinx. Jeff Manship, by the way, is the new pitcher for the Phillies. When you are in the dugout and somebody's got a no-hitter gone, everybody knows it. Does anybody say anything?
Josh seems to be handling it in a different way, kind of decompressing the dugout in his own style because he's moving around. He sat next to a police officer last inning and was chatting with him. Now staying there next to Zach Greinke, looks like he's involved. And when he's unwrapping his gum, it looks like he's talking to people.
Drew Butera.
The unwritten rule is don't talk unless talked to, pretty much. But Josh looks like he is starting most of the conversations down there.
Butera to center, and Revere is there, 1 out. Arizbel Arabarena is 2 for 3 today, including a 2-out single to right in the 6th inning, his first major league RBI, and that's the Carl's Cam replay, going with the pitch the other way.
Stands off the plate, looks like he likes to extend his arms.
And he lines one into the glove of Rollins. There's 2 out.
A lot more comfort in the batter's box for the shortstop for the Dodgers.
Perhaps we can write it off to nerves. His debut appearance on Friday night when he struck out 3 times and walked and made contact on 1 foul ball. Yesterday 1 for 3, and today 2 for 4, an RBI and a line out. And now here's Beckett. And a strike, 0-1. Josh has sacrificed, bounced to short, and has been struck out.
I'd be very surprised if Josh even swings the bat. Looks like he's just up there to watch. There he goes.
Rollins could walk it over. 1, 2, 3. Manship retires the Dodgers in order. And now, tap dancing with history. Josh Beckett takes a no-hitter into the bottom of the 8th. Dodgers 6 runs, 11 hits, and you see the Phillies have nothing but 2 walks, and Josh Beckett has never taken a no-hitter this far into a game before. In LA Dodger history, last one to happen was Hideo Nomo. Koufax, of course, had 4. Then the Singer throwing machine and Royce and Valenzuela. Kevin Gross, a former Philly. Valenzuela, a Philly for a brief time. And now it is Josh Beckett pitching one of the biggest games of his life. By the way, there has not been a no-hitter thrown this year in Major League Baseball. The last one, Henderson Alvarez of the Marlins against the Tigers last September 29th. Dominic Brown is the batter. He is 0 for 2. Beckett's 91st pitch is a strike, 0-1. 101st pitch. Brown, Nieves, and Hernandez to bat. 1 ball and 1 strike.
The perfect game is out of the question, but the fielders are still out there on pins and needles, wanting to do everything they can for Josh.
And the way that curveball is hit the strike zone today, they haven't really been tested, nor has Beckett for that matter. Dominic Brown sent Crawford to the wall in left in his last at bat, and that's about as close as the Phillies have come to a hit. Two balls and 2 strikes. Call strike 3. 4th strikeout for Beckett.
Hollow of the knee, outside corner. Josh Butera does a great job freezing the ball on that corner.
(1996), the last Dodger no-hitter. Nieves 0 for 2. Of course, every Philly is 0 for something. To short, Arborena makes it look easy. Well, Beckett now 4 outs away. It's getting exciting.
This is awesome. Saw Dennis Martinez throw his perfecto at Dodger Stadium against the Dodgers. Saw Tom Browning throw his against the Dodgers in Cincinnati. Was at the Janet Jackson concert the night Fernando threw his. I was on rehab.
In fact, the night that Fernando threw his, I was doing Baseball Tonight. And those were in the early days. Fernando is a strike.
Well, 0-2, and Josh is being very efficient since he got to pitch 90 with 3 innings to go in this outing. If he wanted to complete it, he has been in the strike zone a lot.
The 9th pitch of the 8th inning is outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Top of the order for the Dodgers in the 9th. A comfortable 6-0 lead. Strikeout number 5. This is getting very interesting. We go to the 9th. Dodgers 6 and the Phillies no hits. himself, having thrown a no-hitter through 8 innings. Last time the Dodgers had a no-hitter, Hideo Nomo, in 1996. The Los Angeles Dodgers have had 10 no-hitters. The Brooklyn Dodgers had 10 no-hitters. And so he is 3 outs away from the 21st in franchise history as D. Gordon fouls it back. It's 0-1. Be a pinch hitter, Ben Revere and Jimmy Rollins for the Phillies in the bottom of the 9th. 6 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, no hits, 1 error for the Phillies. And a little golf shot into left. Dominic Brown, 1 out. You always want to get the Dodgers hitters out of the way.
They definitely have that feeling in the batter's box, I'm sure. And as they walk up to the plate, Carl Crawford is thinking the sooner we can get him back to the mound, the better.
Oftentimes in a no-hitter, there's a spectacular play that separates a no-hitter from a one-hitter, a no-hitter from a perfect game. And Crawford pops it to second base. Utley is there and 2 out. There have been no close plays. There have been no spectacular plays. This has been about a routine of performance. 100 pitches, 64 for strikes for Beckett to this point. 110 to be precise.
Well, Dominic Brown's fly ball to left center to the 374 mark where Carl Crawford went back. The only thing exceptional about that play is Carl had good speed and it landed on the warning track.
Now with 2 out, Puig. First ball swinging, fouls it back, and it's 0-1.
The hitters know what's going on. They know what's going on once they pick up their gloves to take the field. And on the offensive side right now, because it's 6-0, they know it's time that Josh get his rest and get back to the mound. Take your at bat, but do it quickly.
Puig takes inside. Yasiel Puig is 2 for 4 today with a run scored. Two out, 9th inning. One ball, 2 strikes. The Dodgers in Brooklyn had 2 no-hitters in 1956. Carl Erskine and Sal the Barber Magley. Magley threw the no-hitter against the Phillies. Outside and low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Erskine, in fact, 2 no-hitters in Brooklyn, 1 in 52, 1 in 56. And of course 4 no-hitters for Koufax, Singer, Royce Valenzuela, Gross Martinez, and Hideo Nomo, the others. Inside, 3-2 to Yasiel Puig. His 2 hits today. Puig is at 351. Manship in his 2nd inning of relief for the Phillies. Call strike 3, and that ends the inning. Well, you've arrived just in the nick of time. We go to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Josh Beckett has retired 21 straight, and he takes a no-hitter to the bottom of the 9th. There has been one no-hitter who's in the postseason, Roy Halladay. Josh Beckett through 8 innings, 110 pitches, 71 for strikes, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. And Tony Gwynn Jr. leads off in the bottom of the 9th and takes a strike. It's 0-1.
Culturally, no talking on the bench when Josh Beckett was there, but he broke that tradition. But the tradition of nobody up in the bullpen, they are not moving.
5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 21 batters in a row. Gwynn takes low, 1 ball, 1 strike. So Drew Butera, the catcher. Brian Knight, home plate umpire in his 6th big league season, was behind the plate for John Lester's no-hitter at Fenway Park in 2008. Gwynn takes outside, 2-1.
So much has been talked about with A.J. Ellis giving advice to Josh Beckett about his curveball. Well, he hasn't given up a hit on the curveball today, that's for sure. And coming into today, the curveball has only given up an average of 117.
2-1 to Gwynn. Outfield now blowing toward right. Gwynn steps out of the batter's box. Josh Beckett in his career, 134 and 101. The 2-1. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Who wants this to happen? Josh Beckett, of course. But every Dodger that is in uniform is feeling for him right now. It's hard to move. It's hard to spit. You're not sure what to even talk about with the guy standing next to you. You just want to watch.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Gwynn leading off in the bottom of the 9th. Into short left. Arabarena. There's 1. Two outs from a no-hitter for Josh Beckett. Ben Revere, 0 for 3. Every Philly's been 0 for something. And a ground ball to first. There's Gonzalez flipping to Beckett. 2 out. 1 out from a no-hitter for Josh Beckett.
Great job covering first base. You can give up a ground ball like that and think you've accomplished something, but he continued to play the game and break off the mound, and you've got a fleet-footed Revere running. Beckett making 1 long stride extra to get him out. They'll watch, break, and run the proper angle. 3-1. 8 2/3 in the book.
Jimmy Rollins, 15 hits for becoming the Phillies' all-time hit leader. Separates Beckett from a no-hitter and takes a strike. It's 0-1. Everybody in Philadelphia standing. Every Dodger is leaned over the railing. 2 Phillies are leaned over their railing. Just outside, 1-1. The tension is palpable. Even the Philly fans are rooting on Beckett. With 2 out in the bottom of the 9th. 2-1.
Changeup, curveball, changeup.
The Phillies have plenty of nothing today. On 2-1. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
He's on the mound now, about to step on the rubber, thinking I'm 1 pitch away. Throw 1 more quality pitch.
2-2. Beckett getting the side from Butera. Now he steps off the rubber. Here's the 2-2. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Jimmy Rollins awaits the pitch from Josh Beckett. 3-2, 2 out in the 9th. Ball 4. After 23 batters in a row retired, Rollins walks. The no-hitter remains intact, and Chase Utley is coming up.
The Dodgers will keep their defense intact. They will play behind Jimmy Rollins. Adrian Gonzalez will play deep. And they will guard against hits and not worry about the runner.
A 122 pitches into this journey. 126. Beckett's career high. With 2 out, Rollins 0 for 2 and a walk. Breaking ball high and outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Rollins goes to second on defensive indifference. Pitch 124. 2-0. The finish line keeps getting further and further away. The 2-out walk to Rollins here in the 9th. 2-0 to Utley. Ryan Howard on deck. The Dodgers have led from the first inning. Now Utley on 2-0. 2-1.
He's attacked Chase with 2 breaking balls that were balls, and then that last pitch was the split finger change. He has not really wanted to give in with a fastball in this inning.
Utley, including today, 2 for 7 in his career against Josh Beckett. 2 balls and 1 strike. The 126th pitch from Beckett. 3-1.
Well, he reached down for that one. 93. Right up there with the top velocities that he has thrown in this game.
J.P. Howell and Chris Perez are warming in the bullpen. On 3-1 to Utley. Strike 2.
He's gotten that pitch all day. That backdoor breaking ball's been very effective for him. Brian Knight behind the plate says this one made it all the way back. Butera frames it. And maybe you get the benefit of the doubt when you haven't given up a hit for 8 2/3.
Ask Dale Mitchell against Don Larson in the World Series. 3-2. 1956. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Dodgers 6-0. Beckett 1 strike away from a no-hitter. Be the first in the major leagues this year. Wilson Alvarez, September of last year for the Marlins against the Tigers. Now on 3-2 to Utley with Rollins leading from second. Here's the pitch from Beckett. Call strike 3 and a no-hitter. Josh Beckett for the 21st time in Dodger history. A no-hitter. The 11th no-hitter in Los Angeles Dodger history. The first since Hideo Nomo in 1996. Josh Beckett, a no-hitter. The Dodgers shut out the Phillies 6-0. History in Philadelphia on Memorial Day weekend. Joshua Patrick Beckett out of Bern, Texas, with the greatest game of his career. Dodger franchise history made on this Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. The 11th in Los Angeles Dodger history. There were 10 no-hitters in Brooklyn Dodger history. Josh Beckett, welcome to the Dodger record book. Utley knew it, Butera knew it, and Beckett knew it.
The transformation is complete, Charlie. From a guy who threw 96 and was a young flamethrower that was outstanding, and then the breaking ball pitcher that now exists where he mixes all his pitches. And 128 pitches later today, after 321 career starts, he has a no-hitter.
About a year ago this time in Milwaukee, leaving Miller Park, he had no feeling in his fingertips. Surgery would be required. He came back from the surgery. What a year he has had. What an afternoon.